So the same way when we had just two-dimensional flat shapes, we looked at composite area, where we would put two shapes together, or we would cut one shape out of another shape, and we would find the area of the shaded space. We're now going to be looking at composite solids, taking two or more solids and putting them together and then calculating the new volume and surface area for this object. So for object number 1 here, we are going to find the volume and the surface area. It has been made up of a cylinder with a cone on top. And then it tells me that we have a diameter of 20. Do we use diameter in any of our formulas? No, but what do we need? Radius. If the diameter is 20, then the radius is what? 10. 20 over 2. So radius is 10. The height of the cylinder is 8. And the height of the cone is 24. So let's go add that to our picture. So the cone from here to here is 24. The radius, which would be for both the cone and the cylinder, is 10. And the height of the cylinder is 8. So this right here is 8. We want to find the volume and the surface area for this. So for volume, we're going to have to find the volume of the cylinder and the volume of the cone and then put them together. So I need volume for the cylinder. To calculate volume for a cylinder, we've got all of our volume and surface area formulas up here at the top. You guys will be given all of the volume formulas, and you will be given the surface area formulas. I will not give you the lateral area formulas, though. I will not give you the lateral area formulas. Volume for a cylinder, area of the base, pi r squared, times the height. Area of the base, which is pi r squared, times the height. So let's start substituting in. What are we going to put in the place of r? 10. So I have pi times 10 squared times the height of the cylinder. What was the height of the cylinder? 8. So let's grab our yellow calculators. If you need to borrow one, please go and grab one. We want the volume of the cylinder. So pi times 10 squared times 8. And we want this in decimal form. $2,513, you said 0.274? 0.274. So there's the volume of the cylinder. Then to that we need to add the volume of the cone. To find the volume of the cone, that's 1/3 times the area of the base, which is pi r squared, times the height. What'd you say? Do we have units? No. So you can write units cubed, or you can just leave it like this. 1/3 times the area of the base, pi r squared, times the height. So I have 1/3 times pi. The radius is still 10. So 10 squared times the height of the cone. What was the height of the cone? 24. And then we pop this into our calculator. And we get what? Absolutely correct. So it came out to be the same volume as the cylinder. Do you think that normally happens? Where the volume of the first object is the same as the volume of the second object? Not usually. Not usually. All right. So now we want our total volume. So we're going to add 2513.274 plus 2513.274. And what do we get? Yes. Let me just scoot this down a little bit, because I don't have a ton of room for this. 5,026.548, and that would be units cubed. Should you always put units? If the problem doesn't give you units, you do not have to have the units there. But if the problem does give you units, then yes, you would need to include the units there. Good question. All right, now we need surface area. To calculate our total surface area, we're going to need the surface area of the cylinder plus the surface area of the cone. So the surface area of the cylinder, we have 2 pi r squared. That's my 2 circle bases plus 2 pi r times the height. 2 times the area of the base, pi r squared, because it's a circle-shaped base, plus 2 pi r, that's the perimeter of the base, times the height. So there is one thing about this, though. Where is the cone? On top of the cylinder. So if I was going to paint this object right here, how many bases would I actually be painting? Just 1. So I don't need 2 times the base. I just need 1 base, because the cone is on top of the other base. So just 1 base here. All right, so pi times my radius of 10 squared plus 2 pi times my radius of 10 times my height of 8. All right, let's go ahead and do that all as one piece in our calculators, because I don't have enough room to write out the 2 separate pieces. What do we get for the surface area for the cylinder when we do pi times 10 squared plus 2 pi times 10 times 8? 816.814. All right, now let's do surface area for the cone. Surface area of the cone, we have area of the base, which is pi r squared, plus 1/2 times the perimeter. Well, the perimeter is 2 pi r, so half of that would just be pi r times our slant height, cursive L. But where is the base of the cone? It's on top of the cylinder. If I were to paint this object, would I paint the bottom of the cone? No. Cone on top of cylinder. Yep.
So if like, so whenever like they were on top of each other, it's just gonna be one.
So it depends on the shape. What we're talking about here is surface area. So if it's not on the surface, then we don't include it. If the cone was not on top of the cylinder, then the top base of the cylinder would be part of the surface, part of what you could touch. But as soon as we put the cone on top of it, that base is no longer part of the surface, the exterior of this shape. So surface area, we're looking at the outside surface. So if we cover it up, then we would not include it. You're welcome. All right. So I need pi times r times my slant height. Well, I know that my radius is 10. Do we have the slant height? No. So we're going to need to come over here and find it. Here's the slant height. We're going to label that with a cursive L. How would I find that? Pythagorean theorem, yes. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. What has to go in for c? The slant height. What goes in for a and b? 24 and 10. We have our height, our altitude, and our radius that go in for a and for b. So I have 24 squared plus 10 squared equals the slant height squared. What is 24 squared? 576 plus 10 squared? 100. So when I add those two together, I get 676 equals my slant height squared. Now what? Square root. If you do it to one side, you got to do it to the other side. The squared and square root cancel each other out over on the right. And what is the square root of 676? 26 equals my slant height. So that's what we can substitute in over here in the place of the cursive L. So I have pi times 10 times 26. What do we get for pi times 10 times 26? 816.814 again. So one more time, I want to ask, do you think it's normal that the surface area for these two different objects comes out to be the same? No. That is a coincidence on this particular problem, but that does not typically happen. All right, now we need our total surface area. Total surface area equals 816.14 plus 816.14. What do we get when we add those two together? $1,633 point what? 0.628. And that would be units squared. Very nicely done. Yes. Pi times 10 times 26 is 816.814.
816.14?
Oh, 814 instead of 14. Thank you. I wrote it down right up above and then I shortened it. 814. Thank you. Plus 816.814. Thank you so much for correcting me on that. How we doing? Doing okay? All right. Let's see if we can do one more like this. Down at the bottom, we're going to find the volume and the surface area for what shapes? A pyramid and a cube. What shape is the base of the pyramid? It is a square. So we have a square pyramid on top of a cube. We want to find the volume and the surface area again. What do we know about this shape? Base edges are 16, so that would mean here is 16, but also this direction is 16, and the height is 16. It's a cube, so that means length, width, and height are all the same, and that means for my pyramid, the base edges are also 16. Well, not necessarily for the height of the pyramid. For the cube, if it says it's a cube, then length, width, and height are all the same. If it says cube, length, width, and height are all the same. I don't know. I've got a pencil. Okay. I'll look to see if I have any. What else do we know about this shape? The height of the pyramid is 15. So from the vertex down to the center of the pyramid is 15. I do not have any. I'm sorry. All right, so we want to find volume and surface area for this shape. So we need volume of the cube plus the volume of the pyramid. So for volume of the cube, we need area of the base times the height. What shape is the base? A square. How do you find the area for a square? Side squared. So we have side squared times the height. What are we going to put in for the side? 16. So we have 16 squared times the height, which is what? 16. On a cube, length, width, and height are all the same. So I have 16 squared times another 16, which comes out to be what? 4,096. All right, so there's the volume of our cube. Then we need the volume of the pyramid. This is 1/3 area of the base times the height. The base is what shape again? A square, so 1/3 times side squared again, times the height. So I have 1/3 times 16 squared times, what's the height for the pyramid? 16. Really? 15. It's very close. The height for the cube was 16, but the height for the pyramid is only 15. All right, so we need to do 1/3 times 16 squared times 15. 1,280. All right, so now we can find our total volume. We're going to add 4,096 and 1,280 together. And that gives us a total volume of how much? 5,376 units cubed. All right, so there's our volume. We still need to find surface area. So again, only things that are actually on the surface. Surface area of the cube. To find surface area for a cube, we do 2 times the area of the base plus the perimeter times the height. Are both bases on the surface? No, one of the bases is being covered by the pyramid, so I don't need the 2 by the base. One base covered by pyramid. All right, and the area of our base we find by doing side squared. So I would have side squared plus the perimeter times the height. So what goes in for the side? 16. So I have 16 squared plus, how do I find the perimeter of the base? We add all the sides together. What would we be adding together? 16. How many times? 4 times. So 4 times 16 times our height. What's the height of the cube? Of the cube? 16. All right, so once again, let's do this all together on our calculator because I don't have enough room to write down the 2 separate pieces. We're going to do 16 squared plus 4 times 16 times 16. 1,280. And then we need the surface area for the pyramid. Surface area for the pyramid is area of the base plus 1/2 times the perimeter times the slant height. Is the base of the pyramid on the surface of this object? No, so we don't need the base. This is on top of the cube. So just 1/2 times perimeter times our slant height. So 1/2, the perimeter of the pyramid is the same as what? The perimeter of the cube. So we do 4 times 16 for the perimeter of the base. And then do we have our slant height? No, we need to go and find that slant height. I have the height, which is 15, right here. The slant height goes down a lateral face like this right here. That's what we're going to be finding. And then we need this piece right here. This part of my base. That goes from the very center of my base over to the base edge. It is 8. The entire base edge is 16, and so this is halfway. So it would be half. That would be 8. So now we can do Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. What do I put in for a and for b? 15 and 8. Doesn't matter which one goes where. 15 in one for one, 8 in for the other. So 15 squared plus 8 squared equals my slant height squared. What is 15 squared? 225. What is 8 squared? 64. What do we get when we add 225 and 64 together? 289 equals the slant height squared. Then we take a square root of both sides. If you do it to one side, you got to do it to the other side. Squared and square root cancel out on my slant height. And what is the square root of 289? 17 is my slant height. So we'll go substitute that in for the cursive L. So now I have 1/2 times 4 times 16 times 17. And we get what here? 544. And now we need our total surface area. We're going to add 1280 and 544 together. And that gives us a total surface area of what? 1,824 units squared. Very, very nicely done. I think we're going to save question number 3 until tomorrow. So we'll do 3, 4, and 5 tomorrow. The new homework that you picked up on your way in the door is due on Thursday this week. Due on Thursday. Thursday will also be the day of your second skills check for this module. So Thursday we have homework due, and it will be the second skills check. The homework that you picked up, by the way, is the last regular homework assignment of the entire semester.